everybody. Welcome to a brand new Warriors of the Grim Dark. So it's been a while since I've done one, and if you haven't seen them before, the first edition, I should say, of one of these, I did Tyrannic War Veterans. Obviously, I had to take a look at some of my Ultramarines there. I had the Rattling Snipers from the Astra Militarum, the Shadow Specters from the Eldari, and then I did a special viewer. Uh, One for the viewers, I guess you could say, that feature the Rough Riders of the Astra Militarum and the Pariah from the old Necron 3rd Edition Codex. So this time, I'm going to dive into another unit that I rarely see. That's sort of the thing with this is it's units you don't really see a lot of, whether they're just not favored, they don't fit in um, the current version of the game, or just ones that just don't get used very often. Before I dive into that, though, please hit the subscribe button, slam the like button till you're sore, and definitely hit the bell icon so you don't miss an upload. So here we go. We're going to dive in. All right, so this week we're looking at the Flayed Ones from the Necron Codex. So Flayed Ones are another one of those units that got retconned pretty heavily from the 3rd edition to I think the 5th edition Codex. So originally they were just sort of a close combat option for a Necron warrior. They had obviously those scything talons on their hands as opposed to a gauze rifle, and they were designed more again for close combat. They wore the skin of their enemies, sort of a terror tactic. That was kind of it. Along comes 5th edition, and then we have a brand new take of them. Obviously, the entire history got retconned. They got filled out a lot more, much more interesting than just sort of the undead of space. That trend kind of continued. They have Pharisees. They're more like the ancient Egyptians of space now. But flayed ones are pretty cool. I like the background fluff behind flayed ones. I like sort of the fact that they're basically robots that have gone entirely insane. So flayed ones were they first sort of started appearing at the end of the Great Betrayal, where the Necron rose up against their star god overlords and attacked them. And what happened is as this one particular Gatan called Landugor, I believe it is. I'm just looking up here, Landugor. Um, Something very important about him is instead of being shattered, like say the Deceiver or the Nightbringer have been, um, he was completely annihilated, completely destroyed. But before he did that, he cursed them with the Flayer virus, and it basically fills whoever's infected by it with a bloodlust. They just insatiable bloodlust. It's horrible. So basically, what happens with these flayed ones, is when they're infected, they start this madness overtakes them, and they have to gorge themselves on their enemies. They wear the desiccated corpses, the skin. They're covered head to toe in blood. It seeps into the cracks and coagulates around the joints. It leaks through and pools at their feet. Um, and it's something they cannot avoid. They're completely and totally entrapped by this need for blood and gore. Most of the time, they're completely annihilated when they start infecting different tomb worlds, but some do always escape, and they go into some sort of other dimension, just where they all congregate, for lack of a better term, um, and there they wait. And what happens is when they are summoned by the scent of blood, of gore, of carnage of the war, and they just suddenly appear, and they can stalk their prey. They're like just almost like degenerated tigers stalking their prey, and when a weakness shows up, they pop on it and they just rip things apart. It's a bloodbath, gore everywhere. And for a Necron overlord or an emissary, what have you, we go, oh, that's a bonus. We'll keep them. They don't ever plan for them. They don't like them. They don't want them infecting the rest of their people. But they don't turn a blind eye to a bit of good luck. So what they'll do is they won't change their tactics, but they'll definitely be happy. Okay, good. There's a distraction. Now all these enemies that were busy trying to shoot down my warriors are now trying to shoot down these slave ones. If they die, great, great. I don't care. Um, But that's about as far as any sort of relationship between the standard Necron, Overlord, Nemesaur, Warrior, what have you, and a Flayed One. Usually, actually, when a Flayed One, after the battle, if the Flayed Ones are done, the battle's over, this Overlord will then turn his forces on the Flayed Ones to wipe them out as quickly as possible, to avoid any contamination, avoid this virus spreading. Because if you look at Necrons, every time they phase out after they've been destroyed, the body phases out, it returns their tomb world. It takes part of the Necron's mind with it. It starts losing its personality. Eventually, they become like Necrons used to be, these just soulless, mindless machines, automatons that just go out and kill, right? This is the opposite. These Necrons have gone mad. Their mind is still there, but it's completely warped and transfixed on this endless bloodletting that they must consume. Um, Again, some of them always escape and they go back to that realm of theirs and wait for the next chance. And there's actually a couple of different areas, different um, dynasties, kingdoms of Hunt. There's Drazak, which is a haunt for the Flayed Ones, and every Necron except Valgul, the Fallen Lord, are Flayed Ones. Every single one. And when he has a food shortage, he sends them out to search for more food. So I have a feeling that while he's not a Flayed One yet, he's maybe one of those few that have had to held on to his um, humanity, for lack of a better term, and sends them out to hunt. The other one is the Minarch Dynasty, which is suffering from the Flayed Curse. Although a lot have been able to hold on to their senses, still it's probably one that will eventually slowly break down until it's just a not more Flayed Ones, which is actually a really bad thing. Imagine all these Necrons just becoming psychopaths. Makes you wonder what kind of curse that this Landugor put on them. Is there any way it's tied into chaos, to Khorne? Obviously, this is directly in his purview. Bloodthirsty maniac robots. He'd love that. And as always, if you haven't watched Wings before, we do go into um, sort of the practical part of it. So Flayed Ones, uh, they're an elite choice in the Codex. They have the same standard stat line for the most part as a Necron Warrior, where I think it's 10 Necron Warriors are power 5, 5 of the Flayed Ones are power 4, and there's a couple reasons for that. So basically, the stat line, they're movement 5, just like any Necron. They're a bit slower because they are supposed to be robots. Obviously, there's that. I guess it's supposed to be that view of this army slowly marching forward in a constant gait, waiting, blasting through. These guys, same thing. Their weapon skill 3, just like a Necron warrior. Their ballistic skill 6. Obviously, they don't have the guns anymore. It's simply their flare claws. They have no interest in shooting. Their strength and toughness 4, like a warrior. 1 wound. They have 3 attacks as opposed to the 1, which makes sense. They have the same standard leadership 10 and 4 plus armor save that a Necron warrior has. You start at 5 and go up in increments of 5 till you have 20. So you have 20 Flayed Ones, I should say. Their weapons are okay. Their Flare Claws, their range and type melee. Same strength as Strength 4, so Strength User. AP 0 and Damage 1. The cool thing is you can re-roll failed wounds to roll with these guys, which is pretty good. Again, this edition doesn't reward close combat at all, so it's very difficult to really see these guys being used. That's probably why they don't get used, among other reasons. They do have reanimation protocols. Now here's where this insanity comes in. Flesh hunger. It's wonderful words. If a Flayed One slays any model in a unit, that unit subtracts 1 from its leadership characteristic into the end of turn. So not only these warriors diving in to kill, they're actually ripping their victims apart and jamming the flesh into their mouth slit, I guess, and the gore running over. That would unnerve most beings out there. And of course, they have haunting horrors, and this goes to their whole being able to slip in and out of this other dimension. So during deployment, you can set up this unit in a charnel pocket dimension. That's there. It says it right there, charnel pocket dimension. Instead of placing on the battlefield. At the end of your movement phase, you the phase is the Flayed Ones can crawl into reality, set them up anywhere in the battlefield that's more than 9 inches away from enemy model. This is actually a pretty cool thing, and if you have a large enough unit, again, it depends how much points you want to spend on them. I'll get to the points in a second. But it'd be cool to have this massive 10, 15, 20 man unit of Flayed One just popping up 9 inches away. It would be a really nasty distraction. All of a sudden you have Necron warriors on one side. You have your Lord and his guards over there, and all of a sudden, poof, out of nowhere, 20 guys, 10, 15, 20 guys show up, and they're just out for blood. They don't care about conquering. They don't care about capturing objectives. They just want to rip and tear and destroy. It's pretty cool. To me, it evokes this image of just pure massacre for the sake of massacring, to try and fulfill this bloodlust that can never truly be fulfilled ever. It's pretty gross. So points wise, just got. Let me get down here. Okay, points wise. Oh, let's see. Here we go. So your normal Necro Warrior is 12 points. For 20 of them, you're looking at 240 points, or 120 for 10. Your Flayed Ones are 17 points, so 5 points more, and that's for the probably the extra attack and that flesh hunger, and you're teleporting from the charnel dimension. But yeah, so that to me, they would be a pretty good distractionary unit. If maybe they were a little bit brought down in points. I don't know. I actually haven't checked the latest updates on what points value there. I think they're still 17 points though. But they're actually be a nice surprise. You just pop up within 9 inches of opponent and just dive in as soon as possible. It's also, and it's something that I've seen people, I think, maybe getting away from, is these distractionary throwaway units, where it is a unit that's designed to draw firepower away from your more important units, your troops choice units or whatever. Or the units that you want to survive, to capture objectives, to provide fire support. If someone isn't shooting at them and they're shooting at these Flayed Ones, those other units get through the battle a bit better. They're not going to survive all that well. They are only toughness 4. That used to mean something. I'm sad it doesn't more. They're only toughness 4, and they have a 4+ armor save. So anything with any sort of AP, it's going to start going through them real quick. That being said, again, that's what Flayed Ones like. Necron Lords, you shouldn't really care if your Flayed Ones die. You want them dead anyways. It's a great unit to throw up as a screen. A nice way to keep the units you want alive, and let the Flayed Ones die. It's what they're there for. They're there to kill and die. So let them do their job. But I'm going to stop it there. That is the Flayed Ones from the Necron Codex. One of those units I haven't seen used very often. I know a lot of people out there don't use them very often. But I think they're they're a unique, cool unit, and an army full of robots and these ancient pharaoh seed type dynasties ruled by strategists and scientists. You have this unit that is just drawn to gore and death and blood, and that's just something very, very cool about them. So as always, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you next video, and keep rolling those dice. See you later. Bye.